Food labels can help you make nutrition choices. In this video, we will go over how to understand and use food labels. Let's get started with an overview of a food label. We'll discuss each section in more detail later on in the video. First, every nutrition label will provide serving size information. Second, labels will show the calories per serving. Third, labels will list nutrients and amounts per serving. And lastly, labels will show the percent daily value. Let's get into the details for each of these sections. Under the serving information section, you will see the serving size and servings per container. Serving sizes are standardized so you can compare similar foods. For example, the serving size for peanut butter is 2 tablespoons. That means you can compare the nutrients in different brands of peanut butter. The serving size is not a recommendation for how much you should eat. However, serving sizes are often a typical amount a person eats. All the nutrients listed on the label are based off of the serving size. For example, in this sample label, 1 serving of lasagna is 1 cup. If you eat 2 cups, you would consume 2 servings. That means 2 times the calories and 2 times all the nutrients shown on the label. You would need to double the calories and nutrients to know how many of each of those items you are getting by eating 2 cups or 2 times the serving amount. The next item on the label is calories. In this example, there are 280 calories in 1 serving, which is 1 cup. If you consume the entire package, you would have eaten 4 servings, or 1,120 calories, which is 280 calories times 4. Remember, the amount you consume determines the number of calories you actually eat. The third section on the label shows key nutrients. In this section, you will see total fat as well as saturated fat and trans fat. As an example, this label has 9 grams of total fat. Of those 9 grams, 4.5 grams are saturated and 0 grams are trans fats. That means the remaining 4.5 grams of fat are either poly or monounsaturated fats. Some labels may show the different types of fat, but they're only required to show total fat, saturated fat, and trans fats. Next, you will see cholesterol and sodium. Now, you generally want to lower your intake of saturated fats and sodium as they are associated with an increased risk of developing heart disease and high blood pressure. Total carbohydrate is the next nutrient listed. You will see how much of the carbohydrate comes from fiber and total sugars. The amount by the total sugars includes both naturally occurring sugars found in many nutritious foods such as fruit and milk, as well as added sugars that are added during the processing of the food. These added sugars can include sucrose, honey, syrups, and concentrated fruit. If you subtract added sugars from the total sugars, you will get the amount of naturally occurring sugars. So let's take a look at this by looking at a couple of yogurt labels. So first we're going to look at the label for flavored yogurt, and we can see that on this label in the flavored yogurt there are 16 grams of total sugar and 12 of those are added sugars. Looking down at the ingredient list, I can see that the second ingredient is cane sugar, which is an added sugar, and that is adding sugars to the yogurt. Let's compare the flavored yogurt to a plain yogurt, which has 4 grams of sugar with 0 grams of added sugar. That means that all the sugar is coming naturally from the milk that the yogurt is made from. You can still compare the two labels and you can make a choice whether to eat the flavored yogurt that has the 12 grams of added sugar or the plain yogurt with 4 grams of added sugar. Sometimes those choices are made out of convenience. You could also choose to eat the plain yogurt and add some fruit for sweetness that would not add additional added sugars. Now, the last of the macronutrients that will be listed is protein. We then move into a list of micronutrients that most people need to consume more of. And these include vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. There's a useful tool on the food label that brings more meaning to all these numbers, and this tool is called the percent daily value. So the percent daily value shows you how much of a nutrient that one serving of the food contributes to your total diet. Now, the percent daily value is not individualized. Some people may need more or less than the amount used on the label. And the percent daily value for carbohydrate, protein, fat, fiber, and cholesterol is based on a 2,000 calories a day. And you might need more or less than 2,000 calories a day. And the percent daily value for vitamins and minerals is based on the FDA's selected dietary reference standards for different ages and genders. But you can still compare foods, and that is one of the great things, is that percent daily value makes it easy for you to compare foods. For example, you could compare the amount of potassium in two different juices, or the amount of fat in a regular versus a low-fat peanut butter. You can also use percent daily value to manage dietary trade-offs. So when a food is high in a nutrient you want to get less of, or if it's low in a nutrient you want to get more of, you just balance that out with foods that are low or high in that nutrient at other times of the day. Now, the percent daily value is a guide to help you know if a serving of food contributes a lot or a little of a nutrient. And in fact, there are actual phrases that can be used to describe if a food is high in or a good source of a particular nutrient. And these phrases are called descriptive terms. So if one serving of a food is equal to or has more than 20% of the daily value, that food can be labeled high in. If a serving of a food has 10 to 19% of the daily value, that food can be labeled as a good source of. So for example, on this label, one serving of this food provides 45% of the daily value for iron. That means this food is high in iron because it provides greater than or equal to 20% of the daily value for iron. So there could be a phrase on the package that says high in iron. This food has 10% of the daily value of vitamin D. That means this food is a good source of vitamin D. The food only has 6% of the daily value for potassium. While it still provides potassium, the label cannot claim that it's a good source or high in potassium. So these terms are all based on one serving of food. So even if you eat 2 servings, the descriptive term remains the same, even though you are actually getting more of the nutrients. So in addition to the nutrient list, labels will show the ingredients. And here's an example of an ingredient list from a flavored whole grain chip. Now, ingredients are listed on the label by weight of the ingredient, not by volume. So the order goes by weight. The ingredient that weighs the most will be listed first. So in this example, whole corn is the first ingredient, means it weighs the most of all the ingredients. Now I want to show you something. No parentheses. So an ingredient in this food is cheddar cheese. The food listed within the parentheses next to the cheddar cheese are the ingredients used to make the cheddar cheese. So you see milk, cheese, cultures, and salt. And that's why later on you see salt again. Well, it's listing it as an ingredient of the different cheeses used in this product. So labels provide a great deal of nutrition information. By using labels, you can compare foods and make choices on the comparisons. You can understand nutrient claims such as high in or good source of. You can view ingredient lists to see what the food is made of, and you can use labels to support healthy eating by choosing more fiber, vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium, and choosing less saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars.